This is Fresh Boy Production.
What's going on, everybody? This is Coach Coleman, Jesse Coleman, and you are now checking into another episode of Breakthrough Blueprint, the podcast, where we are going to help you tap into your full potential. And today, one of my brothers, my homie, one of my 3D dads, somebody that I consider a very close friend, somebody that I can talk to about a lot of things, and he's not going to sugarcoat stuff. That's the beauty of it. He's not going to be one of those people that's just going to tell you what you want to hear. He's going to tell you what you need to hear, and he's going to call you out on your bullshit if you're not living up to what you're supposed to live up to, and if you're not showing up the way you're supposed to show up. My brother Cal Evans. So I'm going to go through quick things that like he does so much, and one of the big things that he does too. Him and Marcus, another coach, they have a show called the Grow Show. If you are in the KW ecosystem and you are a part of the Maps Bold group, every morning him and Marcus are dropping bombs, getting us ready for our day, getting us going. And then also with that, Constellation Home Sales. He's expanding. He's going across the country with it, helping people buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Even individuals that want to get into the real estate field, he can be, you can reach out to him. I'm going to let him highlight every area that they're in because they're doing so much. And then also the Brothers Evans Company with him and his brother, where, I'll let him explain that too. But from my understanding, it's all things of helping people get speaking gigs. They have, if I'm not mistaken, a book that they, have that's out, a workbook too. So again, he has a lot of accolades. He's a coach. He's a father. He's a trophy husband. He's a badass. Works out every day. He does all the things. And without further ado, my brother, my homie, my friend, Coach Cal Evans. Cal, what is going on?
Man, I tell you what, usually I'm on the other side of those introductions. Now I get it. That's pretty cool. Guys, I assure you, I am not as cool as Jesse Coleman just made me out to be. Like, if I can live up to half of that, we'll be good. We'll be good.
You're doing a pretty good job. Listen, I'll tell you, you positively affect and impact so many people's lives. And I asked, a previous guest, it's like, has it hit you yet of how many people that you impact and how many people can, will come up to you if they haven't or will in the near future and say, hey, because of you, I've got it through A, B, and C. Because of you, I'm able to keep pushing.
Yeah, man, that's a question I ask myself sometimes. 2 years ago, that came up in a reflection for me for an annual, just thinking about the year, and I said that exact thing. I was like, man, as appreciative of it and like as gracious I am to be able to receive that statement from somebody like, hey, you changed my life or you helped me through a tough time. I think I'm still decades away from understanding the depth and the richness of what that statement truly means. Like, that is such an impactful thing to hear from another human being. Like, it's just wild.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where in the moment you're like shocked, like, okay, what do I say? And of course I'll say thank you and I
Mhm.
appreciate it, but you're like, damn, what how do you respond to that? Because that is something that's big, that's something that's major. So it's like, holy hell, okay, well, I have to figure out how to maneuver through that because you're gonna get it a lot, especially you being the bowl coach where
Yeah.
you get to travel across the country, you get to impact people, you become friends with them over a 6 7 week period.
Oh, yeah.
They open up to share, and even when you go to the other side of things with you being a mastery coach where you're meeting with people one on one, you know, when you're a coach, you are more than just a systems and models person. You turn into something more than that. So, it's very impactful. You are changing lives, my brother. You are.
Just one step at a time, buddy. Just one step at a time.
All right. So I do want you to highlight, I mentioned some of the things, but I know you can go a little bit more in depth on, the Grow Show, Constellation Home Sales, and the Brothers Evans Company. So I definitely want you to highlight that.
Yeah, man. I mean, just normal stuff. We get to go, and me and my twin brother, also great consultant, came together, and he's got a background in hosting events and doing concerts and booking gigs like that. And so he was like, "Hey, man, how can we join together? You're doing your own speaking thing. I'd love to get with you." And so we just kind of started a business. And so it's about getting that business consulting in real estate outside of real estate, right? And getting in speaking for those people, doing one-on-ones sometimes. How can we take leadership teams to the next level? And so the Brothers Evans just really is a passion project of ours. And yeah, like you said, we made a little workbook, little 30-day Kickstarter, man. It's one of the best things ever. It is super simple yet super impactful, like I think most things in life truly are. Constellation Home Sales, guys. I'm with KW Club KW, and we have a small expansion team. Man, right now we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, New Orleans, Homa, down the Bayou, Louisiana, and then we also have a place in Nashville in that area up there in Tennessee, and looking to just continue to expand and continue to grow because our mission. It's funny. A lot of agents, their mission is how many clients can we help? How
Mhm.
many people can we put into homes? How many, transitions can we help people through? And that is part of ours. However, the major focus for us is really how can we help our agents live their life by design? How can we help them be impactful people? Because I'm a firm believer, for better or worse, right or wrong, take it or leave it, ladies and gentlemen, is when you transfer into the person, the business will show up. Every, so that's
Yeah.
home sales, man.
That's key, and I know we hear it a lot where people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you see a lot of that these days where people can smell people that's full of BS. Like people can smell somebody that's money driven and the only thing they're thinking about is that check. And people like, no, I'm not dealing with you because this is all you care about. So
Mhm.
for you all to where it's like it's your people.
Mhm.
Your people is who you care about. And it comes back to, the whole thing of being great leaders, where a great leader is somebody that can create a vision but also include people into that vision. And when you can
That's
include people into that vision and they're bought into that vision, they're willing to, do the things that they need to do to get there. Yeah. All right.
spot on.
So how did it all begin for Coach Cal? What was that looking like as far as because I know some of the stories. I've seen some of the pictures and I know the college Cal. I've seen it.
Yeah.
So what was that beginning for you into the real estate and also into the coaching side of things?
Yeah, man. I love my story so much because it shows you can always write a new chapter. You can always change who you are. You can always change what's important to you. I, ladies and gentlemen, used to not always be the morally upright, walking a straight path, consistent family, just dude that I am. I once upon a time in yesteryear was in the bar business, and there are people who are great in the bar business. Don't get it
Yeah.
twisted. That's not what I'm saying. I was in a college bar, and if you've ever been to a college bar, um, you could call us a bunch of rapscallions, right? We had a lot of fun. I've forgotten more fun than most people have had, right? And because of that, made some poor choices along the way. Did some things that were less than awesome. But it started for me, man. I was just doing my thing, bartending, and had a buddy who was in real estate. And he came up one time, was like, "Hey, dude, you should join my team." I was like, "That sounds awful. No, thank you. This is just fine here." And he was like, "No, bro, listen, come join us. You don't have to do anything. And we'll, work your files to close and you can get paid and make some money." I was like, "That sounds more up my alley, buddy." I was like,
Mhm.
"So what do I got to do?" He's like, "Take the classes." Took the classes. Took me like 2 weeks, man. Just cruise through them. It was summertime. Cruised through them at the bar at night when it was slow. Finished up, got my license, and consistently hung anywhere from 2 to 10 deals part time for a while, for like 3 years, bro.
Yeah.
And when I say part time, guys, I mean part time. Like, I don't know if you can do part of a part, but like that. Like I wasn't doing much. But a moment came. I got married, right? Got pregnant, and I had a business mentor, guys. At the time, I worked my way from a bouncer to an owner, right? So climbed the ladder, and I had a business mentor, and I was kind of talking to him about my situation and what my future holds and things like that. And luckily, he had the wherewithal to be like, Kyle, I think you're really good at this, and I think you can go a long way in this. And I know that your family is super important to you. Can you show me? Can you tell me? Can you point out a couple of people that you would model your business life and your personal life after in this business? And I was like, super easy, man. You. He's like, awesome. Appreciate that. Name one more.
Mhm.
And I couldn't. And he said, I'm not telling you that you can't win the lottery. I'm just telling you most people don't. Take with that what you will. And so, talked about it, talked to my wife, and decided to give real estate a full-time go. Got out of the business, went full-time real estate. And Jesse, buddy, I had talked to myself like, man, I'm selling, 10 homes, not even trying. Like, I'm going to come on the block, bro. Like, I'm a high D, natural high ceiling of achievement. I'm about to blow this out the water. And buddy, I came on the year rookie of the nothing. I was terrible. It was not HGTV. I was awful. And I struggled a lot for a couple years.
So let's talk about that shift. What was that mindset for you? I know you said, you were like, hey, I've been doing these 2 to 10, just winging it, going full time. Was there a mindset shift you had, or was it just still in that, hey, I'm just gonna go and do what I gotta do? Again, high D.
I think a little bit of both, a little like two things, man. Like I think inside of everybody, there's a dichotomy of emotions, right? There's the yin and the yang, the plus and the minus. Part of me like super confident, like I can go crush this. And the other part of me was absolutely terrified because I was stepping out of something that I had grown to love and gotten really good at for 10 years. And now going to this brand new thing that I've just been doing casually part-time for a few years. And I was like, but I am the type of person, Jesse. I will bet on myself. I will. I'm like, I'm going to go figure it out. And so I don't know, man. Part of me was pumped up, excited for the new adventure. And the other part was like, what have I done?
Yeah. Yeah. So it seemed like you, and for you all that's not in the KW ecosystem that's listening, we have a class called Six Personal Perspectives, and one of the perspectives is E to P, entrepreneur to purposeful.
Mhm.
And it seemed like that was the thing. Like you hit that natural
Oh, yeah.
wall ceiling of achievement when you went full time. What was the catalyst? What was that push to get you from E to P to break through that wall?
Very simple. A little class called Bold.
Yeah.
Took Bold and I was like, ooh, I got to do a lot more. And so I did, man. And in Bold, I got like a 40x my investment into the course, right? And I got a maps coach. And I said, man, I want to be a Bold coach one day. That looks like something I want to do. Guys, I got a maps coach before I could afford it. They tell you all the time now, like, hey, don't do this if it puts you in a finance, because why would you put yourself in financial danger just to get a coach? I did not get that memo, Jesse. I maxed out my credit card and got a maps coach, and I've never been without one since. That was 6 years ago, man.
Yeah.
So that would be the catalyst moment for me.
Got it. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Me and you have this thing where, like, when I am a guest on your show or we're talking, we like, you know what? Let's punch people in the face. Let's have some real talk, real moments. But before we go to that, I think I personally know, but for you, what is your non-negotiables in your daily routine? What is something that it's like, if I don't do this, my whole day is thrown off?
Yeah, man. For me, it is some sort of exercise, and I'm probably in the best shape of my life now at 36 years old. And that sounds cool. But what you also got to remember is that means I spent 36 years not in the best shape of my life. And so when I say some sort of exercise, I mean, at minimum, I got to do at least 30 to 40 minutes of walking, like at minimum. That just gets my day started right, man. That's a non-negotiable. A big non-negotiable for me is family time. Like big. It's just not going to happen.
I love that. That's one of the things too. So and this is a perfect segue for talking about Breakthrough Blueprint, the workshop. And that first step is, who am I? So being real with yourself. So you had a point in your life where you had to get real, get right with yourself,
Yep.
and accept where you currently are to be able to make that change. And I listened to Jocko on the podcast, and he said that he was like, one of the hardest things for us to do as humans is to admit that the shit that we're in is because of us.
Fact.
Like, we're gonna always use the excuses because we never want to look ourselves in the mirror and face the fact that we are in a position we're in. So with us, you're a coach, you're a bold coach, you're a maps coach. What are some keys that you can share with people to say, hey, first step is being real with yourself? What would that
Mhm.
look like for people?
Yeah, man, I think you nailed it with Jocko's advice. By the way, guys, he wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. Definitely read that. Kind of talks exactly what we're diving into here. Man, I am a big believer in practicing what I preach. I think one of the reasons I'm such a successful coach and speaker is because I'm authentic and I'm real
Yeah.
and I'm not telling them something that I'm not doing. And so, because of that, the main person I'm coaching every day, guys, is myself. And to start there, I'm constantly taking accountability and being self aware of, okay, we got here. This is where we are. What do we do now? So I think a huge part is being self aware, taking ownership of the things in your life and saying, this is my fault. Whether someone else had something to do with it or not, there's still something you could have done to influence the situation. And when people give that power away and they say, oh, it's someone else's fault, I'm like, how dare you? You were telling yourself by that you are powerless and you could not have done anything to influence your situation. Poppycock, right? And so I'm a big accountability guy. I'm like, great, it's my fault. But here's where people get it wrong. Sometimes they do that, Jesse. Sometimes they're like, okay, you know what? I am accountable. This is my fault. And they do that in shame and judgment instead of just awareness.
It's funny you say that because that was me for so long, where it's like, it was just always, you got to be accountable. You got to be accountable. You have to own your shit. And I'm like, okay, perfect. And I just, whatever happened, it's my fault. It's my fault. Not knowing that there's a different layer to that, where it's not just you just putting everything on you. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, what are you going to learn from that? How are you going to grow from that? And one
That's
of the key points is what I realized for me too, and there may be some people listening that be that way, that yes, you have to be real with yourself and you have to go into that place, but you can't stay there. You can't dwell into making it, like you said, a judgmental zone and things like that of yourself, where you have to be able to move on and get from that, right?
right.
Then after that, so now we talked about ourselves being real. Now who are we becoming? Another quote that I loved about that is, we are already the person we want to be. We just have to tap into that. So now let's have a conversation around that, about somebody identifying who they want to be, who they want to become, even if that's personally or in their relationships, their career, around those lines.
Yeah, man. So it starts with self awareness. If you were to get in your car and drive down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I am, you would pull out your GPS, and your GPS does two things: it identifies where you desire to go, and then it identifies where you are. Because without those 2 points, you can't get a roadmap, you can't get directions. And so we've identified now, guys, where we want to go. We're being self-aware. So that says where we are. And now we just follow the steps. Great. To get to that spot, what do I got to do now? And this is why I say stay away from shame and judgment. I do not care about your past. I don't care. Everyone's got one. Everyone's made stupid mistakes. Everyone's done dumb stuff. Everyone's not gone hard. Everyone's been lazy. Everyone's been dishonest. Like, insert blank here. Don't care. What are you going to do about it now? That's the question you got to ask yourself, guys. And there's 4 questions I ask myself every single day. What can I control? What can I not control? What am I seeking to control that I can't? What should be I controlling? What should I be controlling that I'm not? Those 4 questions, man, when you identify where you want to go, ask yourself 4 questions. Okay, great. I want to be the number 1 speaker in the world. Awesome. What can I control? Okay, I can control the number of talks I give, how much time I spend on content, how many books I read, how many people I interview, how many reps I get. What can I not control? I can't control if anyone books me or not. I can't control if anyone watches. Great. Like, and you just ask yourself those questions around that. And it sounds so simple, Jesse, because it is.
Yep. What's one of our old laws? Success is simple, but it's not easy.
It's not easy.
We overcomplicate it because we're like, it can't be that simple. It can't be that. It is. It just comes to the discipline part and the consistency part of it. Even like with podcasts, you know, with me starting it, I'm like, I don't care if anybody listen. I just have to be consistent. I just have to keep putting it out there because I realize that I love highlighting my friends. I love talking about my friends. I love pumping them up. So I want to give them the opportunity to, to pump themselves up. So it comes to the point of, again, like you said, what can you control? I can't control if anybody listen. What I can control is me making sure I record episodes and constantly put it out there. Right. All right.
Well, that's the difference, man, in the destination, right? It's not, hey, I'm doing this podcast to get 1 million people. It's, hey, I'm doing this podcast because I enjoy it and I enjoy having deep, great conversations with others.
Yeah.
And if you do that and you pour into mastery of that, the people will view, the business
Yep.
will come. It's that simple.
Yep. All right, next level. All right, we moving through it. So first one we talked about, who am I? Then the next level is, who am I becoming? Now it's my favorite one. It's the flight attendant. When you're on a plane, the flight attendant lets you know you have to put your oxygen mask on first. Then you put the oxygen mask on your kids. Let's have a conversation around that. People are not taking care of themselves mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. What does that look like? What is some keys, some pointers for people that like, hey, you have to take care of yourself. And I know you mentioned it, what your non-negotiables are, like in the morning, you're working out, you're doing your thing, family time. Those are things where you're filling up your cup. So let's have a conversation around that of what would that look like for other people that's listening.
Yeah, man, you can't pour from an empty cup, guys. You can't. If you pour and pour and pour into other people and you never fill up, you're going to run out of stuff to pour. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to get defeated. You're going to die on an airplane, as Jesse says. What are you doing to, number 1, pour into yourself, or number 2, set up boundaries to where you're not pouring you the last drop that you have? And so I think for people, a lot of times, Jesse, they don't have the boundaries and they're not filling their cup. And then they wonder why they feel a certain way, why they feel defeated, depressed, down, empty inside. It's because they are. It's because they've been pouring and pouring and pouring and never refilling. And so we have to just slow down as people and find out what we enjoy, what fills our cup, and not be judgmental about it. Like for me, dude, I love like going to the park with my kids fills my cup. There are other parents out there who are like, gross, I don't want to do that. And that's okay. Dude, hear me out. If you're a parent out there and being a parent is not your vocation or your passion, okay. Like, I don't have any judgment around that. Like, I'm an entrepreneur. If that's not your purpose or your passion, okay, cool. Like, it doesn't matter. High school's over. Stop caring what other people think. Pour into you. What do you like? What fills you up? And go do that. Stop worrying about what Frank from graduating class of 2005 thinks about your life. That's why you're empty, because you're filling Frank's cup and not your own damn cup.
It's funny. It's funny because like when I teach classes, I bring that up. Like, hey, you're worrying about what other people think and how other people feel, and when that times come where you're no longer here, those people won't even be at your funeral sharing stories with your family of why they love you and how you impacted their life. So why are you living your life for people that won't even show up in your time of need? Like it doesn't do nothing for you. And I've been guilty of being and you know this, of being a constant cup filler, and I
Mhm.
never refill my cup. And for you and a few of our other, 3D crew and other people, it's like, hey, you have to fill your own cup. What brings you joy? What excites you? You have to work on that first, then you're able to pour into other people.
Yeah, man. I was having this conversation with a top guy the other day. He was like, "What's your hobby, man? Like, what do you do to, blow off steam and fill yourself up?" I was like, "I don't have any hobbies, man." And I was like, "I don't play golf, don't do anything like that." I was like, "I exercise sometimes, and really just work, coaching, and being with my family." And he goes, "Those none of those are hobbies." And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I love it. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking? Like, why are you casting judgment on my life when I'm probably happier than you are? And a younger Kyle would be all beat up about that, but I'm so confident and sure in myself and my boundaries and what I focus on that other people's comments about my life, it does not matter to me. Because guess what? I've got to be accountable to myself and only myself and the people in my close network. Everyone else, cool, man. Thanks for the feedback. See you later. Like, that's it.
Yeah. I was just thinking that people will give their opinions on your life. Like, no, I'm okay with spending time with my family, working out. Like, that's what brings me joy. What you consider as a hobby and joy for you, that's for you. For me, this is it. So yeah, you and people that's listening, you probably already have that where people that's casting judgment or giving their opinion on stuff just because it's different than what they think. And here's another layer to this of making sure you're putting your oxygen mask on and filling up your cup. You have to be aware of people that only come around for you to fill up their battery.
Mm.
You are not a Tesla charging station. Be aware of the people that constantly just come to you to fill up their battery. And soon as their battery is filled up, you don't hear from them no more.
The
The
energy
en-
bus.
the energy bar. And that is actually in my cart to buy. So I will push the purchase trigger on that. But
That's
yeah,
it, man.
there's people that will come to you just because they know you have amazing energy. They know
Sure.
you're going to be there. And once they filled up and their energy is good, you don't hear from them no more.
It's called energy vampires.
And that it is very real, very real.
In fact, man, I think that's the problem is like too many of us don't have the boundaries on our life and aren't filling our cup because we're pouring into energy vampires instead of surrounding ourselves with people who aren't. Like, don't get it twisted. I'm all about pouring into others that I'll never get anything back from all day. But if I only did that, I would run dry. If I only did that, I would be on E. And that's what we have to be super hyper cognizant of. So it's like, who are we? Who are we becoming? Right. And then are we putting the oxygen mask on ourselves? Like, are we following that track? Guys, this isn't rocket science,
Yeah.
but it is the foundation of life. And I would go out on a limb here, Jesse, and I'm sure you would too, with all the coaching consultations you've been on, and find that it's not something complicated that most people are missing. It's usually one of those three things.
Yep. It spot on is one of those three things. And I was just having a conversation with somebody, and for them, their issue right now is step one. Who am I? They don't want to be real with themselves.
Mhm.
Everything is everybody else. So we're working through that. Again, it's a process that you have to work through where you just can't jump from here to here. You have to, identify and home in on where you're currently at and then work from there. All right. All right. Next step. Now we're moving along. We put our oxygen mask on first. We're filling up our cup. Now we're falling into that range if we are in the fix versus growth mindset. So for you all that's listening, here's what we're talking about. Fixed mindset. You're believing your abilities are set in stone, you're avoiding challenges, and you're fearing failure. Then you could be in a growth mindset where you're embracing challenges, seeing failure as an opportunity, and believing in improvement through effort. We had a conversation before we hopped online about a situation where it's you are embracing the challenge. You are stepping up. You are looking at the opportunity as a way for you to, you know, show who you are and step into it. So there's a lot of people that have that challenge of growth versus fix, where you meet people, and sometimes this comes for people from people that may be a little bit older. I know you coach a lot of different
Mhm.
ranges. Some people that have been in the business for a long time, where sometimes they're in that fixed mindset. How do you help, or what are some things that people can use to get out of that mindset?
I mean, it starts with going back to the very beginning when we talked about awareness. A lot of people stay in a fixed mindset because they have blinders on and they're looking at their life like this instead of from a 30,000-foot view. And that's why I think therapy is great. Having a coach is great. Having a mentor is great. Having someone else to pull your head out of the sand and be like, no, dude, look at this. If I if I believed in a fixed mindset, I probably wouldn't be married. Like, I would probably be a bum. I would just be like a POS. But, like, guys, you have to understand everything. And this is going to rock you. Every single thing in life is a trainable skill. Everything. And
Yeah.
I'll prove it to you. You want better finances? Great. Go read 20 books on it, implement some strategies, train skill. You want to be healthier? Great. Go talk to a nutritionist, go talk to a trainer, train skill. You can train in the gym, you can train in the kitchen. You want to be a better communicator? You want to have better relationships? Trainable skill, trainable skill. You want to talk better to yourself? Go to therapy, learn some tools, trainable skill. Like every single thing in life that we desire is a trainable skill. And when you understand that, guys, that means that literally nothing is outside of your reach. Now we're just talking about an appropriate time horizon. How much frequency, how many times, how much consistency do I need to put in this over what period of time to get what I desire? And so when people tell me oh, I've tried that, I've tried this, I've done that, this is wrong. I'm like, dude, Albert Einstein says this, man. Repeating the same experiment over and over and over again, expecting a different result is the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
A lot of us, Jesse, we want different results. We want the prize, but we're not willing to actually pay the price.
We keep doing the same thing over and over and over and wondering why we get the same results over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's not a fixed mindset. You're not in a fixed position. You're just doing the same dumb stuff over and over again. It's telling everybody that you're stuck. When in fact, the only thing that you're stuck in is your inability to make a change within your personality. Shots fired.
Whew. And when we talk about the growth mindset, you just hit the nail on the head. There's so many books out here. There's so many podcasts out here. There's so many YouTube videos. Like I learned how to change a kitchen sink from YouTube, literally right there on the spot.
Did that, cursed my way the entire way through it, but learned it from YouTube too.
And even for me, like when I first got into trading stocks and options, I didn't know what I was doing. First thing I did was pick up a book. The best book you can ever pick up, and people probably laugh at it, but they sell a lot of books, is the For Dummy books. It breaks things down so simple that a first, second grader can comprehend what they are talking about. But again, it's that growth mindset. It's you getting tired of where you are. You're getting tired of staying on that hamster wheel with things that you're just going through the same process where you just say, hey, I don't know it all. I want to know more. And I'm going to research. I'm going to do the things I need to do to learn what I need to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had this conversation with my wife the other day, man. Over the weekend, it was like Saturday, I started reading a book and I finished it Sunday, and it was like 400 pages. And she was like, I just wish I could read like you. Like, I can't believe you just finished that entire book this weekend. Like, it's just, I was like, babe, when we started dating, did you ever see me crack a book? Did you see me just bookworming it up, like stealing away to go read a novel in the sunset? No, it was a trainable skill. Like I spent some time working at it, spent some time working at it, spent more time working at it. And before you know it, I can crush out a book in a weekend very easily. Like We put these walls, Jesse, between us and what it is, and all it is just a few consistent times doing it, man. Like, it's wild to me.
And that makes me think of another quote from Jocko. If y'all haven't realized by now, Jocko, David Goggins, E.T., Ed Milet, these are people that I just follow.
He's
And
not
Jocko,
talking about E.T. the alien, by the way, guys. Talking
no,
about Dr. Eric
correct,
Thomas.
the hip hop preacher, you know. And Jocko said something, and I use this quote in a lot of my classes that our excuses will destroy us. Our excuses will destroy us and take everything we ever wanted if we let them. And that's what you're talking about, where the quickest thing is to give the excuse of, I wish I can do that. Oh, you're so lucky you know how to do that. No, you can do it too. It's a learnable thing. You
Mhm.
just have to want to do it. You have to break down that wall of making the excuse and step into the person you already are to be able to do those things. Right?
That's right, man. And
All right.
and age doesn't matter. In fact, the older you are, actually more in fixed mindset you get.
That is so true. I I laugh because I talk to a lot of people that's older and they're like, well, this is just the way it is. No, it's not the way it is. That's the
Mm-mm.
way you interpret it to be. That's the way you are accepting it to be. It's not just the way it is. You can
Mhm.
make it any way you want it to be.
Yeah, that's the way you're making it to be.
Crazy. All right. So now we talked about being fixed versus growth mindset. Now we have to elevate into strengthening our mindset.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that we have to do is we have to reframe our failure and looking at it as a failure and look at it as a learning experience. So, how do you do? I mean, I know you've helped me with this of reframing the way I look at things. Like, okay, yes, that happened, and blah 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 blah. So, what is some of those things? What is some things that people can do when when you're talking about strengthening your mindset and reframing a failure and turning it into a learning lesson?
Yeah, man, here's the thing. Failure sucks. Guys, it does. You're supposed to feel sad or defeated or depressed or upset that things didn't go your way. That means you cared. That's all that means. Just means you cared about it. Means you wanted it. Cool. Well, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to learn from what you did right and what you did wrong and make changes and practice and do it again? Or you're going to say, "Hey, I'm going to take my ball and go home because I lost." Like, this idea that the successful people in our world, in our environment, in our ecosystem never failed is the biggest fallacy that I could ever show anybody. We spend so much time comparing ourselves to the highlight reels that people show us on Instagram, that, by the way, are structured for clicks.
Yep.
Hello, you know that, and still you won't let yourself understand it. And we hold that to ourselves, be like, oh, that person's so far ahead. They've never failed. They've never gone through anything. Like, dude, you're going to fail. In fact, if you're not failing, you're probably playing it too safe. You're probably sitting in your comfort zone, not doing anything different, not stretching, not growing, not applying yourself to everything that you possibly could because you think that failure is some big, nasty thing. It's going to suck. Rub some dirt in it. Life is hard. Get a helmet and move on. Like, it's that simple. Jesse, struggled so much with failure. So much with failure. And here's why: because I did not have enough self worth.
Mm.
And here's the big mistake: people think self worth comes from outside achievements.
Looking for that outside validation.
It doesn't.
Mm. Like I want to unpack. Okay, let's unpack some things here because you dropped some bombs a few times. Okay, so I want to go back to the first part. I had one of our great friends, Katie Campbell, on, and there was a situation she had where she reached out to both of us,
Mhm.
and she was just like, "I just need somebody to tell me that I messed up. I just need somebody to tell me." And she knew to call us because we'll say, "Okay, yeah,"
You
because
screwed up.
here's the thing. To your point, you have to deal with those feelings.
Yeah.
You fucked up, you dropped the ball, you went through something, you have to deal with that because you have
Mhm.
to go through those emotions to be able to learn from it, That's the key thing. You have to learn from it, and it strengthens you. It's like the calluses we get on our hands from working out. You keep getting stronger and stronger, and you have to, use that to go to the next level, right? And then the other part of that you talked about is it's a big thing, and this was the thing that I struggled with is not staying in not staying in that place
Hmm.
where I know it's okay to have those feelings, that to have that failure, that anger, that whatever that comes with it. It's just learning that you can't stay in that. So
Hmm.
now it's like, okay, give yourself and I want this is me asking you this, like do you give yourself a 24-hour time frame or 48-hour, like, hey, this is your time to bitch and moan.
Hmm.
Now, what are we going to do about it?
People don't drown by jumping in the river. They drown by staying underneath it. That's one of my favorite things that I like to say because of how it's impacted my life. You don't lose by a failure. You lose by letting it define you. You lose by letting it shackle you instead of serve you. So for me, man, it really just depends on the size and scale and scope of the failure, how big or small it is. I like to say a 15-minute funeral, right? Oh, that
Yeah.
sucked. I'm going to be mad about it for a little bit. You should be mad. Like, you're a
Yeah.
human being. You have emotions. You're going to go through the 5 stages of grief. Like, it's going to happen. And you pretending that it's not is not serving you or your life at all. Like, it's okay to be upset. It's okay. Just don't let it own you. Don't let it turn you away from what you're supposed to be. Now, if it's a really big failure, might be a day or two, man. Just really process the emotions, but you got to process it and go on. Okay, it happened. What now? That's the motto. Okay, that happened. What now?
That's the key part there. It happened. What now?
Yeah,
Okay. What's the next step? What am I gonna take from this? What am I gonna learn from this to be able to move on where this situation doesn't happen again? Right?
the fact that I've been successful, if you will, or doing a good job at things is literally 100% due to my relationship with failure and my ability to shorten the 15-minute funeral window. That's it. It's how fast can I get up, dust myself off, and go again?
Yeah. So for you all that's listening, again, I am with making sure we give you practical action steps. How long are you going to give yourself? 15-minute funeral, 20-minute funeral, 30-minute funeral, and dust yourself off. What did you learn from that, and move on? All right. Now, other parts of the strengthening your mindset. So I have three. We have three categories on this. First one, everybody should know this. Surround yourself with growth. I am a big example of surrounding yourself with growth-minded people that forces you to level up. Our crew, our 3D crew, some of the top coaches, owners, business owners, like people just across the board. And I always joke about this, like, man, this past year, I've always felt like the lowest man on a totem pole, and that was amazing. That forced me, like, get your head out your ass, big dog. Let's go. Let's step up where you're doing what you're supposed to do. So make sure you surround yourself with growth. People that want to see you grow. People that's not intimidated by your growth, because you're gonna get that. You have to be careful of that. The people you surround yourself with, that they see your growth and they take that as something that's going to affect them in a negative way.
That's right.
So watch out for that. Second one is language awareness. What are you telling yourself? What is your self talk? Again, our subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or what's fake. So the more you put that BS in there, the more you're going to start believing that.
Hmm.
You have to talk to yourself a certain way. And then our favorite, last but not least, spotting those limiting beliefs. What is the story you telling? What are you saying you can't do? What are you saying you can't accomplish? Take this for somebody. And I shared this at a class recently when somebody kind of was looking like, "Oh, you got it all figured out." Like, "Oh, you good? Like you teaching and you doing that? What? Why do I need to listen to you?" And I'm like, "Well, let me give you my backstory. I had limiting beliefs. I could make excuses
Mhm.
for so much, but I know that's not the story. You create your own story, not where you come from, not what you've been through. You have to stop those limiting beliefs.
It's huge, man. I mean, a lot of us are living in prisons of our own design.
Ooh,
We have
that's a
built just chains and walls around us due to failures, due to upbringing, due to the limiting belief of others. And we brick by brick build up these prisons around us. And the funny thing is, we have the power to break through them at any time if we only see it that way. One of the things I challenge people with, especially around limiting beliefs, is there another person on the planet, living or dead, who has gone through a similar scenario and found success? I'm going to let you guys in a little secret. Yeah, bro. Someone else has been worse off than you. Same situations, multiple same situations, and found their way out. Why? Because they chose not to live in the prison that was built around them. They chose to break through it. The key word there, Jesse, chose. It's a
it's a
choice.
choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. If y'all haven't realized by now, this is why Coach Cal is the person I call when I'm dealing with bullshit. When I get, because here's the beautiful thing about it. Nobody has it all figured out. Nobody is above going through crap.
Facts.
And for a lot of you all who pay attention to, a lot of stuff that happens in the world, like your favorite famous people, they're going through BS too. It's even probably worse for them because they're just televised. They don't have no privacy when they're going through their stuff. So everybody's going through BS. Again, we just have to make sure that we're strengthening our mindset. We're putting ourselves in the best environment. Our self talk is good, and we are eliminating those limiting beliefs. All right, next, let's transition into defining standards. Here's the beautiful thing. Yeah, let's go. Listen, people have a goal for this. I want to lose 60 pounds. I want to sell 100 homes. I want to travel the world. Their standards, it's not up there. You want to lose 60 pounds, but your standards is you're stopping by McDonald's, you're working out once a week. Let's talk about that. Standards matching the goals.
People don't want to hear what I have to say about it
Let's
because
go.
it's so simple, and it's because it's so simple, it's painful.
Mm.
I think that everything in this life is a choice. I think the problem that we walk by every single day, not fixing, is the standard. That is your standard. I'm going to let you in a little secret, guys. Your business sucking, that's your standard. Your health not being where you want it, that's your standard. Your bank account, that's your standard because you're not doing anything about it. And let me wheel that back. Maybe you are doing something about it. You're not doing everything that you can do, or you're not doing the best that it can be done to fix it. I was coaching an agent earlier, and he was like, I'm just, man, I was a capper and in the top, but I didn't make as much money as I wanted. I was like, great. Do you think you could have worked harder? He said, well, yeah, I mean, for sure. I'm like, what more is there to talk about? Hey, you want to lose weight? Awesome. How many times did you say yes to eating like crap? Oh, well, that's all they had. And this, that. Don't eat. Don't eat, bro. Like, don't eat. Well, I can't. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. The human body can go literal weeks without food. You can miss a meal if they didn't have anything healthy. By the way, guys, the reason I'm so passionate about this is because this is the crap that I had to tell myself and reprogram the same crap limiting beliefs that I had forever for 30 years of using that excuse. Patooey. Until I realized it was that simple. It's a choice. You want a bigger business? Cool. Are you running after it with reckless abandon? Or are you playing it safe? Are you working 20 hours and calling it 40? Are you working 40 hours and acting like you have no more time? Get out of here, bro. Coach Tony DeCello used to say this, famous maps coach back in the day. He was like, The hours from 8 to midnight, 8 p.m. to midnight, is when you work on your side hustle.
Mm.
It's when you work on whatever extra you want to add. That's not sleep time. That's not rest time. Guys, your standards are so low. And then you wonder why you don't have the life you desire. And by the way, I'm talking to me too here, ladies and gentlemen. Anything that I want, I have to ask myself that question. Great. What am I willing to pay for it? And I don't mean price. I mean the time I'm going to spend, the energy am I willing to put forward, the mindset. I have to ask myself the same question. Am I willing to adopt the standard of life that it will take to achieve that? And sometimes the answer is no, and that's okay. But you can't complain if you choose that path. That's the difference. You can't complain if you choose the path because, Jesse, you know as well as I do, there are agents out there who are not liking their circumstances.
Yep.
And I got to tell them this: the pain of where you're at is not strong enough to get you off your butt and go do what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
I said it.
Yep. It just made me rethink of another quote, and I actually turned into this person after hearing this quote for years because it didn't stick with me. I love what you said. Like, this is the stuff we have to tell ourselves. Like, we're going through the same things, and we just figured out how to maneuver through the things. And the quote was another one by the great Dr. Eric Thomas. Don't be upset by the results you get from the work you didn't do.
Fact. That's something I tell myself all the time. Like,
And yeah,
it's a fact. But we try to run away from it and blame and say, oh, this, that, and the other. No, dude. No, I didn't do enough. Okay. That's great. I either have to be comfortable with that answer or not. And if I'm not comfortable with the answer, great. What am I going to do about it?
yep. That used to be me where I would get pissed at myself for not doing what I'm supposed to do.
Mhm,
I would drive home with an attitude, just be pissed
mhm.
off the whole day. And that quote kept. I mean, I've heard that quote for years, and I constantly go back to it. Like, bro, you chose not to do what you were supposed to do when you did it. Why are you upset? Be okay with it because you made the choice not to do it. Don't be upset by the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. And once your what you say, once your circumstances, the pain of your circumstances outweigh the pain of you getting into action, then you're gonna get up and you're gonna get into action.
That's right, bro. It's that simple and it's that hard. And guys, like the reason I am better off than most is because I'm willing to take that accountability on me. Hey, man, I wanted to get in shape for years, bro. Stop, started until I finally said, I am the person who is in shape. Start with who you are, right? I am the person who's in shape. Great. What does that person do? Great. That's who I am now.
Yep.
Not let me follow this diet for a little bit. Let me follow this workout plan. I had to change the internal perception of who I believed I was. And that's the start of all of this. Standards, where you're going, self talk, everything. You have to change your identity as you see it.
And it's funny you say that because it takes us back to the first part of this is you are already that person you want to become. You just have to tap into it. And you at that time, you tapped into the person that's in good shape, that's
Mhm.
feeling good, that you know, say you tapped into that.
That's right. It was
So
always
again,
there. It's
yeah,
always there.
you're already that person. You just have to tap into it and get it. And you know, another part is in visualization. That's another part of this. And you kind of like alluded to it, like you said, I am the person at work. I am the person that do that. So you were given doing that visualization for
Mhm.
you to do that. I know for me, visualization is big, especially with us being teachers and we have to go different places we teach. Where people ask me, "Hey, what do you do?" I visualize myself in front of the room. I visualize myself having the conversations. Also, I visualize myself being in a different situation just outside of teaching, but just in life in general. Like
Mhm.
putting those that vision in place of where I want to be, what I need to do to get there, and now put in action behind that.
Yep.
So for you, visualization.
It's huge, man. I mean, I texted you this weekend, right? When I was doing some work and I've got a big speaking thing coming up and I was doing the work on it. And part of the work is visualizing myself, giving the address, looking at the faces, seeing it land, seeing what they're saying, seeing discomfort in the room, putting myself in there. And I sent a picture of my watch and my heart rate was 100. That means I'm doing it right, guys.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling the moment. Like visualization is everything, man. Top athletes do that. Olympians, like they visualize what they're going to do. So when they get there, it's not new.
Yeah. Visualization. You got to visualize what you want. You got to visualize how you're going to maneuver through things. And visualizing things helps you make adjustments when you need to, because you pretty much have an idea of the way you want it to go.
Mhm.
And you give yourself room when you have to make adjustments, because you're not on the fly trying to figure out everything in that moment.
That's right.
Mhm.
Act like you've been there before.
Act like you've been there before. So I want to go into one last thing before we wrap it up. I have it right here. Let me get it. Let me get this book. I bring this book up all the time because of you. Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. Listen, you posted this book that you and your team was reading it. I think it was like the beginning of last year. It was a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I am one of those people where when my friends or people that I admire, I look up to, post about books, I put them in my shopping cart. The way the universe worked, the way things work, so happened at that time I needed something like this. I pushed the purchase button, and when I tell you, I learned a lot about you by reading this book.
I'll take that.
No, for real.
No, for real.
I learned a lot about you, and I'm like, "Yeah, I got it now.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. I got Cal a little bit more, because for you on a bigger scale, you have a lot more eyes on you.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot more people that look to you for encouragement and things like that. That is something in the field that I'm still getting adjusted to and trying to get used to, of like, hey, I can't say certain things that I would say, because there are people now looking at me like, hey, I come to you for motivation. And after reading this book and realize that, okay, I see where they go. What is your outlet to release those things for yourself?
Mm, one outlet is exercise, obviously. Another outlet is prayer, meditation. And then the third outlet, which helps me dramatically, and people might not realize this, is, man, how do you neutralize an acid with a base, right? Well, how do you neutralize these problems? I tackle them with self-awareness. How can I find the gratitude in it? Where's the lesson? And then it becomes something that's not bad, something that was a gift, right? How can I reframe it, if you will? So those three things, man: prayer, meditation, exercise, and then how can I reframe it from not a problem, but a positive? And that helps out dramatically. Or here's a good one, bro, especially with dealing with other people. And I know we got to wrap this up. Giving them the grace to understand what went wrong in their life for them to show up this way. And then I go from angry, and now I feel for them. Now I'm giving them empathy.
From anger to empathy. We're gonna end it on that, dude. We gonna drop the ball on that. Coach Kyle Evans, let the people know where they can reach out to you at. I will drop all descriptions, all the links to social media, everywhere they can find you in the descriptions. But let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, guys. Coach Kyle at guideyouhome.com or at Coach Kyle Speaks on just about every social platform. I'll see you on the Instawebs, man. Jesse, thanks for having me, brother.
Oh, my pleasure. And everybody, also, thank you all for checking in, rocking with us again. And I'll see you next week. Peace.
Fresh Production.